Hi, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be looking at their higher self messages to you. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the blue Kyanite. Group 2 is the clear Quartz. And group 3 is the green Obsidian. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and to tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the blue Kyanite. So let's see, what do they want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say, I've never forgotten you, even though you think I have. So this is really giving me kind of past life vibes between you and this person, a sense of familiarity that they felt upon meeting you, or kind of as you two started to get to know each other, a sense of you being strangers in this lifetime, but this deep sense of knowing tied with that. And this could be something where they're also getting kind of dreams and downloads about that, maybe some past life memories that have come up for them. And depending on how far they are digging into that, if this is someone who is familiar with or has come across concepts about past lives and past life connections, they might be finding a lot of resonance within that. Kind of an explanation or some kind of a reassurance that they are seeking, something that just really stands out about this connection and about you compared to other people that they have interacted with in their life, or just kind of that energetic exchange or that sense of recognition that they've been able to even develop or experience with others that they may have known for a very long time or their whole life. And so it feels like a sense of not getting to know one another but the chance to rediscover one another in this lifetime, a sense of remembering, that familiarity that is increasing between the two of you at a soul level, the sense of saying, you know, there you are again, good to see you again, as opposed to kind of something along the lines of, it's nice to meet you. And they also say, I've looked you up online to see what you've been up to. So they could definitely be kind of watching you, kind of following along with what's happening in your life, looking at social media posts to get even points of kind of confirmation for what they are experiencing. There could be a lot of telepathy going on between the both of you, a lot of 5D communication, and this person really getting maybe a lot of, again, confirmations of things that have really come up for them, maybe kind of messages and dreams that the two of you have shared, and then in some way in which that is translating out into the physical 3D reality. It feels like something that they're not openly discussing, but they are taking notice of that. This can also really relate into this energy of like a past life connection, this sense of familiarity, of wanting to kind of dig deeper, to learn more, to feel more into this. A sense too of, during periods of disconnect or separation, if you're in minimal contact with this person, or if this is something where it's a complete no contact situation, there's a sense of really feeling this sanctuary, and again, this familiarity with your energy, to where they might not be at a point of being able to, you know, put that to words or to express that, or there's in some way the nature of the dynamic, the nature of the relationship, it brings up this necessity of kind of boundaries, or kind of this distance, even as you are, you know, closing that gap with one another. But there's a sense of yearning, of really wanting to reach out and in some way, you know, touch upon that energy, touch upon that familiarity in a more tangible way. Not in a sense of codependency or like stalking, but just again, this sense of familiarity that is so different from what they've experienced with other people in their life, that the further away that the two of you are from that very direct point of intersection, and just this calling that they have, being very called back to you, being very drawn back to you. This can also be something where, if this is a complete no contact situation, this person might even have like fake accounts, for example, and could be, you know, following you on social media or observing you kind of under the cover of night, so to speak, from this kind of perspective of a disguise, so that they are able to kind of watch you, to be in your presence, to really soak that up. Again, with kind of this idea of boundaries or barriers in place. Someone who's not quite ready, or based on the circumstances, the nature of what's occurred between the both of you, or where the connection is at, not wanting to really rush things, you know, feeling most comfortable kind of with that distance and that degree of anonymity at this point in time, but nevertheless still very much craving and very much, you know, interested and very much pleased with connecting with you, even in this kind of remote capacity. And they also say, seeing you reminds me of things I know deep down, and that's not always easy to deal with. So this can really talk about some past life wounds that have been triggered within this person, and kind of vice versa within you, that happens when you're in proximity to one another. Again, this sense of kind of the communion of your souls beyond whatever occurs in the 3D, that really stirs things up between you and within you. So there's an intensity of this connection, triggering for the purpose of growth. This doesn't feel like something that is, you know, triggering with the intent of diminishing, or with the intention of, you know, to operate as that irritant or that dissonance. But this is almost something between the both of you that is occurring, that is really kind of directing the way, that's kind of pointing the way, pushing the both of you to rise into love, versus other circumstances of romance you may have had individually in the past, where it was a sense of falling into love with people, a sense of something being sacrificed, something being lost, a part of yourselves being lost. And that same kind of energy of really stirring things up, of something shifting, of this passion and this ignition. There's a sense of that being this almost rumbling in order to transcend the understanding and experience of what love and connection could be. And so again, this could be quite overwhelming, which it might kind of lead into this need for sort of anonymity or some kind of boundaries that are in place, or something where this person, just kind of feels best not really talking about the depth of what they're experiencing. Somebody who might also be trying to kind of put those pieces together, is feeling this, is cognizant of this, is kind of exploring this, or trying to sort of work out that puzzle, trying to kind of undo that Gregorian knot within them, as far as questions leading to more questions, leading to kind of all these different rabbit holes that kind of that need for the distance is just to kind of catch their breath, to get that perspective, to, sort of get that grounding and focus on things, as much as this is a mystery and this is an unfolding and this is almost this new precipice or this new level of connection and understanding of themselves. They're also needing that perspective of focus and time spent on what is established in their life, what is, known and familiar and accepted as truth and reality, or their immediate circumstances. And kind of these two aspects really playing off one another, that the deeper they come to understand themselves and understand this connection, it helps to also put perspective on other things they have in their life, kind of for the purposes of sort of inventorying these things and kind of even just energetically moving away or being moved away from circumstances, people, ideas and patterns in their life that, through this kind of illumination that has happened through this connection, it's almost like they can't go back to that. Something has shifted within them, and things that might have just been kind of comfortable and accepted are now starting to feel like this very tight squeeze, this very tight fit. And so distance might again be kind of necessary as they're trying to process all of this, find answers, and come into this place of acceptance and balance with what's being stirred up within them and what's really being revealed to them through and about this connection. Okay, and they say, your love set me free. I am free because of you. So this is that idea of rising into love, something about the energy exchange between the both of you, this dynamic, this soul connection, these deeply entrenched kind of dormant memories and potential of who they are, who they have been, and who they can become based on all of that. There's a sense of liberation to this. There's a sense of their perspective widening. A sense of, again, this connectedness, this intimacy, this intensity, that it is beyond what they have experienced on some level in romances of the past, or even in platonic or familial dynamics in the past. This sense of familiarity, this sense of sanctuary, the sense of peace and yet excitement that is generated very organically and in a very dynamic way through your interactions with one another, either directly or even kind of at a distance. Even on the 5D level, there's this sense of kind of realizing a connection that maybe has always been there between the two of you before even meeting in this lifetime. There's just this sense of seeking and the sense of something else that they have always felt with them. Not really knowing what, not really finding an answer or finding what that was, or, kind of just that perpetual itch that couldn't be scratched until kind of interacting with you, meeting you, kind of coinciding with one another energetically, which again kind of provided a lot of answers for them in terms of sensation, in terms of this feeling of, this is what I've been looking for, there you are, good to see you again, which then opens the door to so many other questions about who they are, what this means, and kind of how this dynamic can really reshape their life, and what that is asking of them in order to really spread those wings and again fly into love, and kind of rewrite the script for themselves of experiences that they may have had or perspectives that they may have had, or just the way in which they interacted with the force of love in the past, which may have predominantly been sort of this energy of falling. And they also say, hey baby, I was thinking of you. So you are heavily on this person's mind. There could be a lot of telepathy going on, meeting with each other in dreams, feeling each other energetically around one another, this presence, this kind of perpetuity to it. Not really in the sense of, again, this clinginess, but just kind of like a new layer of atmosphere that has been revealed or has become apparent. There's a sense here, again, with that energy of thinking, somebody who's really exploring this, somebody who's really maybe meditating, praying for answers, doing research, trying to really put the pieces together and kind of figure this out, kind of put the puzzle together, unlock the mystery of what this means, what's going on with this dynamic, kind of what's the purpose of this and where to go with this moving forward. And they also say, I want to kiss you. So even in a period of kind of separation and distance between the both of you, there is this deep desire to move beyond the present circumstances, to evolve beyond where things currently stand. This person's very much drawn to you, drawn back to you. Again, that kind of concept of this anonymity that they may be maintaining to a certain degree, this distance, or kind of this barrier that they may have in place, barriers of wounds or things that they have just kind of breaks that they've needed to put on in this situation in order to, not get kind of carried away with that, but to, try to maintain some kind of semblance of perspective and really seek to find some answers within themselves. But despite all of that, they're very much drawn to you, kind of in periods of surrender in their day, in their, when they kind of stop moving about that energy of within themselves of thinking and seeking answers and, trying to put pieces together, and they just find themselves in that very sort of peaceful state of flow. It feels like that is the time when they are able to very acutely feel your presence with them. And kind of recognize that as something which is always there. Again, this sense of atmosphere, this sense of kind of this molecular bond between the both of you, this sameness that sort of exceeds the urge to seek and to find and to kind of capture and collect. It's something that just is. Okay, and they say, I wish you were here. So again, that desire for closeness, somebody who, despite any kind of silence that is in place, any ways in which they might have kind of shut off to this connection or kind of backed off from this connection, there is this yearning to move beyond these current circumstances, to find those answers, to get that clarity, to seek that truth and understanding. Some things that they're needing to kind of tie up within their own life, even loose ends or, things that they're needing to unlock within themselves in sort of this preparatory stage, almost this process of initiating themselves into a circumstance where they are again able to spread those wings and rise into love, to really accept that invitation that this dynamic and what has really been kind of sparked between the both of you, that kind of widening of the perspective and the horizon, that call within them that keeps, pulling them back, magnetizing them back around to this connection in order to realize kind of, again, this perpetuity of the two of you energetically sort of with each other, this constancy of presence that may be unlike other dynamics. It's not something which clings. It is not something which is begging or which is, depleting and draining. It's just something, again, like atmosphere, which is just there. It's just, they have realized this as just part of their reality, part of who they are, and part of who they can choose to become. They also say, my heart aches to reconcile. So again, that urge, that pull back towards you, to move beyond the circumstances the two of you find yourselves in. Somebody who's really trying to find these answers within themselves, recognizing that something needs to shift, within their life, within their circumstances, within their understanding, and even their ability to receive love and to give love. Some healing that the two of you may need to do independently in order to, again, kind of prepare yourselves to be able to receive and embody the gift of what this connection has to offer, to be kind of that living witness or that embodiment of this force of sort of higher level love, this very kind of unique bond between the both of you, almost this sense of sacred obligation, being chosen for this in a way, and needing now to move into that space of choosing, to make that choice, to kind of answer that call, to accept that, to take up that mantle, and to be that kind of living embodiment and representation through the way in which you both are able to, just accept and flow through this and allow this to kind of saturate you and exude this in everything that you do and how you move through the world. And so this desire to, again, move beyond kind of this current state of questioning or of distance, and to step deeper into that space of being that vessel that is able to really sustain and take in and again kind of exude this force that exists and is embodied and experienced between the two of you. And they also say be patient. So this person is being very methodical in wanting to find answers, somebody who's not wanting to rush into this, somebody who recognizes, even on an unconscious level, just how unique and important this is. This feels like a very kind of milestone event, something they feel that they may have been preparing their whole life for, or even lifetimes for, through a series of maybe, discoveries, direct interactions with what love is not, which has kind of equipped them with that point of contrast to be able to really recognize and receive and experience what love is. So again, this desire, this yearning, this pull to kind of move beyond wherever you find yourselves currently, but also this kind of indication from their soul and from their higher self that patience is required. Kind of this sense also of you both have all the time in the world, that this is something that is not, it is not desperate, it is not needy, it is something which it has developed and come to this point between you very organically in other ways, almost like the two of you colliding without even necessarily really looking for that consciously, without being, cognizant that such a connection, such a dynamic, such an exchange could truly exist in the material world. And it's that space of, maybe having that hope and that desire for that deep intimacy, and then kind of releasing that intention and carrying on anyway, kind of moving through and navigating through sort of lessons and blessings in interactions with others and in your lives, and having come to this point of intersection, this juncture, again, the sense of kind of preparation that has occurred with a lot of other circumstances up to this very crucial point, up to this interaction here. And it's something where, again, that soul knowing that it behooves the connection to allow this to develop very organically. Seeds have been really tapped into within one another, and these seeds are in this process now of germinating. Again, some healing that needs to take place within both of you individually. A sense of that not being something which can be rushed as much as both of you might like to. The necessity of surrender, the necessity of patience as you allow these things to unfold. Recognizing and honoring that constancy, this atmosphere of the two of you within each other's lives, in that kind of higher self sense, the perpetuity of that partnership, that communion that is almost unbreakable. It's almost an infallible truth now that also serves as the contrast to things which come and go out of your material world and even within yourself as that evolutionary process is taking place. So kind of a major shift into a place of anchoring within this person and how they are viewing this connection, and again really recognizing kind of work that needs to be done in order to prepare themselves, to initiate themselves into that stage of being able to really receive this connection and give to this connection fully. Okay, and they say our energy is merging. Unity is at hand. Love grows stronger. So this is that idea again of this sense of atmosphere, this sense of knowing that even before the two of you knew of each other, you have been together. A sense of, prior to this lifetime and beyond this lifetime, the two of you are together. Leaning into that knowledge, that understanding, allowing that to marinate in your current reality, kind of the implications of that, starting to recognize yourselves, this person even recognizing themselves at the individual level as so much more expansive than who they had imagined themselves to be. It feels very much like somebody who has kind of come to this point where they have achieved some sense of wholeness and acceptance within themselves, and kind of being able then to cross that threshold into a place of becoming more. Not a sense of the two of you completing one another, but kind of that broader explanation of one another. And they also say, my answer is yes. Of course, my darling, yes. So if you've been wondering if this person is maybe kind of experiencing the telepathy, seeing the signs, feeling this very uncanny connection with you, this past life connection, something very exceptional about this bond. This is their higher self affirming that for you, that this is not one-sided. This is something that is definitely mutually experienced. But again, something where there's a gestation period at hand where other things need to unfold. Some kind of a clue or an indication that this person is really following, listening to from that higher self level, that patience is required. This situation has been acknowledged for what it is at that soul level. And from that place of acknowledgement, then new sort of pathways and new sort of aspects and dimensions of themselves even, and kind of the potential of what exists here, allowing that to unfold very organically. And they also say, soon you will see we are one. I am from you. You are from me. So again, that idea of kind of this infallible truth, this idea of atmosphere, this idea of wholeness that the two of you have cultivated and are, really seeking to continue to improve upon within self. Having accomplished that or mastered that to some level vibrationally, which has really equipped you with the capacity to perceive one another, to perceive that further extension of who you are. Again, not this idea of missing pieces, sort of fitting back in with one another, but this sense of two individuals who are in that state of wholeness, who are recognizing themselves as a larger whole within each other. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 1. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got T, Q, I, U, B, W, L, D, Y, H, and R. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the clear quartz. So let's see, what do they want you to know from their higher self? Okay, and they say, I can't handle your words right now. So this person could be going through a lot in their life. They could have a lot of kind of other pressures, maybe some things that are kind of wrapping up, some cycles that are coming to a close within their circumstances, within their situations in their life, and needing to kind of take some space from this connection in order to kind of process what's going on, to heal and to release some things. This can also really relate to kind of some difficulties that you and this person have had, and a sense of, maybe them really kind of sitting and thinking about things that were said, thinking about interactions that you've had, exchanges that you've had, needing to come to some conclusions and some awareness on their own, not wanting to, really exchange and dialogue and talk things out yet, but needing to come to a place of personal truth for themselves. There can also be something that's very activating about words that you speak to them, or when you're having conversations together, just even that energy exchange that occurs when you are kind of in proximity to one another, when you are dialoguing, when you are exchanging ideas, expressing and receiving one another's emotions, and kind of what that has stirred up within them. Again, this kind of sense of activation within them, and maybe feeling a lot of overwhelm about that as they're coming to some kind of revelations within themselves, some epiphanies, some truths within themselves, and needing to take some time to really ground themselves, to again take some time and space from this dynamic in order to process sort of what is coming up for them from the subconscious. They might be sort of triggered by some things. Some wounds might have really been pointed out to this person by things that you said, an interaction that you have had together. Even something that has really struck a chord of truth for them, and needing to kind of dig into that, to research that, to figure that out, to try to make sense of that, to grapple with that. And so kind of needing to do that individually before really coming closer or back into this connection to kind of discuss what it is that they've learned, to really, interact with you again from this kind of new and shifted perspective, through this kind of evolution that energetically is taking place within them, and also, again, that sense of some other things and maybe their material life that they're needing to really wrap up, or things that are starting to kind of come to a close. This idea of maybe even like dominoes that are starting to sort of topple, and they're needing to put their full focus on these things to really experience that, process that, and move through that. And so the kind of the intensity and the draw towards you, it might be something which they're feeling is almost a distraction at this point in time from other things that are really kind of requiring their attention. There's a sense of healing as well that really comes from the words that you speak, or the dynamic of exchange between the both of you. And through that healing, it's something that they are, being drawn back to that at another point in time. But there are also, some wounds that they are feeling they need to kind of tend on their own. Somebody who's not wanting to just kind of lean upon this connection as something to fix them, or they may really associate you as somebody who, even just energetically, it's very giving. It's this desire to kind of nurture and to heal and to soothe, and this person really kind of taking responsibility for their own healing at this point in time, not wanting to use this connection as a crutch, not wanting to kind of even drain or deplete you energetically based on whatever it is that they are carrying or working through vibrationally within themselves, or kind of as the result of what's going on in their life. And they also say the grass wasn't greener on the other side. So a decision this person may have made to kind of push this away, put this connection on hold, or choosing to kind of move in another direction with what they are focusing on, or who they are focusing on, kind of a maybe some resistance to kind of lean deeper into this connection, kind of, again, that energy of pulling away. In hindsight with that, as they are kind of sitting within that that sort of field of dominoes that are toppling, it's really starting to bring that perspective to them. The sense of sanctuary that they feel in this connection, the sense of kind of healing that they are experiencing in their dynamic with you, things within themselves, this self-healing mechanism that has been triggered within them. And it's really providing that aspect of contrast to where, when they're resuming kind of whatever else is going on in their life, and they are really able to then decipher and differentiate the vibration of what it is that they are interacting with. The vibration that is elicited within them based on other circumstances in their life, and to see that point of contrast between maybe what they have been kind of immersed in, or what they have kind of built as their reality, versus sort of this new world, or this kind of next level of interaction that this connection and the dynamic and exchange between the both of you really presents to them. They also say, I've never forgotten you, even though you think I have. So this is really talking about, you might be out of sight, but you are never out of mind from this person. You are always in their heart, despite what they are not telling you or what they're showing you at this point in time, ways in which they might have kind of shut down or closed off or kind of backed away from this connection. It has not diminished the love that they have for you, that it almost feels as if that is sort of a stabilizing force within them at this point in time, as there's so much kind of flux and change in other aspects of their life as well. They could be kind of deliberately sort of tapping into you energetically during periods of meditation, or just, quiet moments that they have, kind of this sense of coming back into the connection energetically, to really get that feeling of perspective, that feeling of sanctuary, when the world around them feels very overwhelming, when what's happening within them and the feelings that are coming up are feeling very chaotic to them, and very sort of heavy, then this feels like something where they're almost finding that sense of release, or that sense of peace, or being able to breathe again through this dynamic with you, through kind of memories of the times that you've shared, or again, really tapping into consciously or unconsciously sort of the 5D bond that still exists between the both of you, despite any sort of physical distance or separation. Okay, and they say, I surrender my heart to you. So inside they've made up their mind. The decision has been made, or rather the truth has been revealed to them about sort of the nature of love, the truth and the purity of love that exudes energetically between the both of you, almost without trying, very naturally, very sort of organically. And it's something where, again, as they're kind of going back into, their ordinary reality, or they're left with their thoughts, they're left to reflect, to even think back on other romantic connections that they've had, how that has played out, what that has felt like, what those dynamics and exchanges have been like. They're really starting to be able to kind of differentiate this idea of separating the wheat from the chaff. Really starting to understand and fully recognize how this connection, this dynamic, is so different from what they have experienced in other ways. It's something where somebody who might have really been fighting and resisting opening their heart to love, or opening their heart to love again, there is a sense of starting to feel very comfortable and safe doing that with you and within this circumstance. And kind of that shift and that revelation, that place of surrender that has occurred within them, it has sent out a signal vibrationally that is almost in this process of kind of bringing down or toppling things within themselves, and even within their exterior circumstances that do not align with that vibration, that are not conducive to sort of this almost this period of nesting that is taking place, where things are really being shaken up, things are falling away, opening up opportunities for new growth in order to prepare this person internally and externally to be able to be that vessel for true love, to be able to be that vessel that is able to give and receive in a healthy and reciprocal manner and at a greater capacity than they have been previously. They also say, I will fight for your heart. So if things are kind of cold or distant between the both of you at this point in time, this person is not content to let that remain the case forever. This really feels like somebody who is kind of in the process of wrapping some things up or being sort of carried through some cycles of destruction and dismantling in various ways within their life. Sort of looking toward that horizon, or trying to keep that perspective, though, that on the other side of this, it may even be helping them to really to maintain through this process of what is occurring, this transmutation that is occurring within and in the outside world. This idea that on the other side of this change is the ability to give and receive this love at a greater capacity than they were at, and even that you were at when the two of you first kind of interacted, when your energies touched and something was really awakened and sparked, or started, a process was started within the both of you. So this could be very much sort of like a mirrored energy, that this change and this flux and, you know, things really shifting and moving about internally and in the exterior sort of circumstances that's occurring with them. This could also be really happening with you at this point in time. There's a sense of the two of you holding fast to one another at the 5D level, anchoring to one another and recognizing each other as that anchor on kind of this higher plane, as kind of your body and how you are experiencing the world and moving through it, your thoughts and feelings, as these things are shifting and changing. It's kind of anything that does not match or is not able to kind of rise and meet this new vibration that the two of you have now touched on, and it's a part of you now. It's becoming incorporated into who you are. Things that are not able to kind of rise and meet that are then falling away. So again, this idea of a lot of internal change, but on the other side of that, this person really, again, this idea of sort of sanctuary, coming back to thoughts of this connection, tapping into your energy, feeling into that, and that being something which gives them some hope through this period of kind of change and sort of destruction and creation that is occurring within their life, with this idea of it being almost like this preparatory or a purification process energetically and in the physical realm, in order to kind of allow them to embody that higher version of self, to step into that best and balanced version of self, so that they are able to take action on the feelings that they have for you, to be very assertive, to move towards this, to offer love, and to be at a place of confidence to be able to receive love, to come to a place of trust within themselves, that they are seeing themselves then as a suitable energy or a suitable kind of being or person to be able to protect your heart, to cherish your heart, to honor your heart, to guard your heart. The way that they feel about you, it may have really highlighted for them deficiencies, or at least perceived deficiencies within them, some distortions within them of not feeling good enough. Recognizing this connection and you and this energy as something very unique and special, but then also realizing that there is some growth that needs to occur within them, some version of themselves they need to step more fully into, in order to again be confident and equipped enough to surrender to love, and to also recognize their ability to be that sort of guardian of this love, of this this tenderness and this vulnerability that you offer to them. Getting to a place where they are feeling worthy to receive that as well. And they also say, I only want to make things right between us. So again, not satisfied with the distance, the separation, feeling it to be a very necessary sort of phase of this connection, the stage that the two of you are in. But again, more reassurance that this is not an out of sight, out of mind circumstance. You are very much at the center of their heart. You are that core that they have identified, that they are now able to kind of give a name to, put a face to, that gem within them that has been kind of elusive, or it has been something, something they've held within that they've kind of been confused about, or didn't really understand, didn't feel worthy of. And they have now found greater explanation for that, greater purpose for that, a sense of understanding about that. But again, recognizing a necessity to sort of evolve in some way. This idea of alchemy, kind of the lead of their life, of who they are, of their belief systems, of their energies. This person being in this process of transmuting that, turning that into the gold within themselves, recognizing that, unearthing that gold within themselves, stepping into a place of confidence and kind of softness and vulnerability and strength within themselves, leaning into these changes, or even initiating changes, things that may have been really kind of stagnant, or just kind of something that they had accepted or had come to just be very apathetic about in their life. And kind of moving into this stage of creating that change, to clear these things out, to purify themselves, purify their environment, purify their energy even, allowing themselves to be really moved and shaped by the energetic dynamic that is occurring between the both of you. Okay, and they say, I want you to be happy. So big motivator there for the distance that they are taking, or are kind of putting in place at this point in time, recognizing that there are things about themselves that they are really feeling called to step into, or to step away from. This idea that to move closer into this dynamic at this point in time, that somehow they are not prepared or able to really honor and to meet and receive this connection on the level in which would really seek to optimize the potential here. Somebody who wants to be an uplifting presence in your life. Somebody who wants to, really add to the measure of your joy, and also be able to receive and experience the ways in which you add to the measure of their joy. Somebody who, is really in this process of starting to kind of learn to love themselves on a deeper level, learning to really embody that love, taking that to the next level of looking around them and seeing, what are some circumstances or even vibrations that I am holding inside, beliefs that I am having that in some way diminish my understanding and belief that I am worthy and perfect and whole just as I am. It's kind of a process of releasing beliefs of self-limitation, or beliefs of deficiency, of damage within themselves, these distortions that they have just taken on, or that have been projected upon them, that they have come to accept as reality, that have been reality for them through various stages and up to the point of really kind of colliding with you. That was the reality. And this is almost a new version of reality that is being birthed here, that has been birthed already through the two of you really coming into that contact, into that proximity with one another. And kind of the ripple effect of that, of stepping into a place of, being ready, able, and willing to be, washed through and to exude kind of that joy and that hope and that luminosity of love that is maybe just something that has been a spark between the both of you. It's something that for a period of time was experienced and sustained, but then needed to be kind of separated from kind of that peek at what is to come. And then the work begins to prepare oneself, for both of you to prepare yourselves individually for that process, to be that vessel, that recipient, that deliverer of that love into yourselves through one another, and then the ways in which you kind of shine that out into the world around you and really anchor that frequency of love in the material plane. And they also say, when I think of you, I smile. So that's that energy of sort of sanctuary and, really with everything that might be going on internally within them, within their world right now. Someone who really takes the time to find some quiet moments, to really retreat into that place of peace that they have felt and experienced with you. There's a sense here of that, you in this connection, it brings them a lot of joy. It's something that they want to move closer toward in their life. It feels like something that is very different from maybe sort of the energy that they've been embodying or their experiences of love in the past. And it's something where it gives them this sense of hope. This might be someone who had just kind of become very complacent and just kind of resigned, had kind of experienced love in a limited capacity or, in a tarnished or dented capacity before, and had come to, just accept that maybe that was all there was. That was the full extent of it. And had learned to kind of just move forward in their life with that sort of acceptance or understanding. But there's a sense of really joy and unveiling here, a revealing of kind of a grander world, kind of stepping beyond some kind of curtain in their perception of what love could be, what that could feel like. Even beyond just the exchange between the both of you, but energetically what has occurred within them, that it's this illumination to a new level of experience that they never thought was possible. And they also say, you are my twin flame. So if you resonate as a twin flame, this can be that confirmation for you that this person, even on the unconscious level, is very much aware of this, that the two of you have been moving towards each other in various ways throughout this lifetime and many lifetimes previously. You've gone through various periods of time of coming together and then distance in order to sort of activate and trigger within one another energetically this ability to have that choice to step into, to receive that best version of self, to embody that best version of self. That best version of self being the one that really understands their worthiness and their ability to be that vessel, to be that messenger of love, to receive love of the highest capacity and the most kind of pure nature, and to be able to hold that and to harness that and then sort of radiate that out vibrationally, to help really uplift sort of the vibration around them, the vibration of the planet, the vibration of others that they come into contact with. This idea of that being very contagious in all the best ways. And so even just what the two of you have really touched on together, and kind of what is then stirring within this person, or really kind of stirring in their outside world. It's that process of kind of demanding that all which is not capable of kind of basking in that light of this vibration, of embodying that as well, of kind of rising to that level, must fall away. That a chapter has closed, a perception has closed, a veil has fallen away, that there's no going back to that. There's no kind of closing that door. There's no kind of unseeing or unexperiencing what has been experienced. And being at this threshold right now of, again, sort of transmuting and evolving into kind of being shaped in all of the best ways by love. This idea of kind of rising into love, rising into that best version of self. This idea of almost kind of the fire between the both of you, the spark between the both of you, being that kind of transformational flame in which, an old version of who you were, or who you had evolved to be up to that point in time as individuals, is then kind of burned away. It's charred, it becomes ash, it no longer remains, in order for, the two of you individually and then together to kind of rise out of that, this very much like a phoenix moment, out of that experience, which definitely starts on an individual level in order to, again, step into that greater capacity within oneself, to recognize yourselves as kind of these perfect and loving beings who are worthy and capable of holding and sustaining and exchanging that high vibration of love, which is very elusive. It's very kind of difficult and very rare to encounter on this level. And it's something where, by doing that, it anchors that frequency into this reality. So even if it's something where you're not, going around and telling people that you are twin flames and you have, risen and come into this union, it becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of how you move through the world. People are then affected by that vibration of transformation, which sparks then their own kind of their process, or it provides that invitation to others on an individual level that change in a deep and profound and kind of in a soul level is possible. And that you're sort of both the living example and proof of that, of the transformational and kind of the life-giving nature of love. Okay, and they say, necessary to take baby steps to move forward. Crawl if you must. So a lot of intense transmutation and transformation that is happening, kind of wheels that have been set in motion that the two of you are just very much compelled to surrender to move through, to work through sort of the angles and the layers and the process of this journey at a very deliberate and organic pace. It's something where, as much as this person may feel compelled to kind of move through time very quickly to that point of being ready and prepared to move back towards you and sort of experience and exchange the optimal capacity of this dynamic. It's something which they are understanding and are experiencing the more they are trying to push and rush and fast track. And they might even be sort of delayed in that sense. Kind of, again, this process of needing to lean into that state of surrender, allowing love to move through them and to move them to those destination points at a pace that is very organic and is according to exactly how this should unfold between the two of you. They also say just a little more patience, my love, if only I could speed up time. So there you go, confirmation right there that, this person really wishes that this process wasn't taking so long. There is this sense of anticipation, this excitement, this giddiness almost, wanting to really taste and savor the potential of what has been revealed to them through this connection. And so kind of a major test for the two of you is that energy of anticipation, allowing this to build, allowing yourselves to build, to be created and destroyed in repetition in order to kind of rise into, these next versions and the next versions and the next versions until that point where, you are both suitably prepared to be able to receive and sustain this love in a heightened and optimal capacity. And they also say, trust in the universe, believe in the divine plan. So like that energy of patience, trust is definitely required. A lot is changing, a lot is shifting. This person's letting you know that, in the silence, you're in their heart. You're there, you're that anchor point, you're that beacon, you're that hope. You're that sanctuary and that motivation and that inspiration to lean into this. There might be times where they're kind of fighting this or resisting this, wanting to just kind of stop this or pull away from this, to kind of focus on something else. But there's this draw back to you, kind of these periods of pause and then sort of the action resumed within themselves and within their life. Somebody who's leaning into a space of trust, learning to surrender sort of the need to control outcomes and allowing themselves to be opened and shaped and revealed in all of the best ways through this force and current of love, which has been revealed and tapped into and actively is exchanged between the both of you, even in the distance and silence. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 2, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, just whatever resonates or can spell something out. We've got I, F, V, K, X, Q, T, U, O, D, and E. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the green obsidian. So let's see, what does this person want you to know from their higher self? Okay, and they say, I should have been more honest with you about how I was feeling at the time. So this person could have really withheld a lot of feelings or a sense of missed opportunity with this, that at a certain point there was this crossroads to move closer into this connection, to step closer into love, to open their heart up more, to give and receive and exchange energy with you. And they could have chosen to sort of pull back or to retreat. They could have felt very overwhelmed by that, by this deep kind of intimacy between the both of you. Almost this sense of convergence where you two are interacting at the 3D level, and you also in real time are interacting at the 5D level with each other. Kind of this idea of speaking words and mutually, exchanging through telepathy. Kind of that that convergence of sort of the totality of who you are as individuals, both in the material realm and kind of the etheric sense, and just this, again, this idea of like a crossroads moment, and a certain layer of that interaction, or touching upon that, almost touching heaven in that moment, in the earthly plane, and kind of straddling these spheres. It could have been very overwhelming for this person, really touching on kind of these deep chambers of vulnerability within themselves, feeling at the point of invitation, or feeling very compelled to open themselves up more, but then also very triggered by that, kind of some fears unleashed within them as well. And the method in which they might have kind of pulled back, or something that they might have said to just kind of push this connection away, and sort of the confusion that left you with. They're having some regrets about that, maybe kind of ruminating on that within themselves, of wishing they had taken a different approach, or recognizing that as an opportunity that was not taken, that was not acted upon, that was not capitalized upon. Someone who chose the route of fear as opposed to the route of love, and kind of this questioning and uncertainty about how to really get back to that. That being a very necessary kind of stage of this dynamic, or a necessary point of interaction to really go within, to reflect. Something has been triggered, something has been activated, and this is now almost like a project or a task to work on, to peel back those layers about what motivated that proximity to love, and kind of created the reaction to retreat. And they also say, I wish I could take back the things I said. So again, some regret about a conversation that took place between the both of you, something maybe that was misconstrued, or that they wish that they had, said more clear or better. A sense of almost having disappointed you, or really, again, kind of holding back out of fear, having missed that opportunity to really, step further into this connection, to affirm what they were feeling, what was being exchanged between the both of you. A sense too of really being shown some kind of wounds or blocks to love, some kind of ways in which they have kind of segregated themselves from their own feelings, from their ability to be kind of brave in expressing their truth, and honoring that truth, and really embodying that energy of self-love, by not kind of diminishing or holding back, but letting that love shine, in kind of that energy of perfect love and perfect trust, that by showing that true face, by letting that luminance be known to a heart and to an energy that they feel very safe with, that this is in some way kind of that next level of their evolution, or it's that process of actively accepting that honor of the best version of self, that is not necessarily something to have to be worked toward, but something that is almost remembered. It's that version of them that is kind of right there, right out of the corner of their eye, something that they have been focusing everywhere else, and kind of not at that reality, and so kind of left with this this sort of mission, or this task, or this project at this point in time, to recognize that, to recognize some wounds, again, about love, and kind of actions that they took, or things that they didn't say, that in some way kind of created that disruption, or did not really honor and sort of make the most of what the two of you exchanged with one another, what you built, even what was achieved and experienced maybe at this point of conversation or interaction. And they also say, I feel safer in the silence. So again, somebody who felt very overwhelmed, maybe chose the route of fear as opposed to love, and is now needing to really process that, is feeling kind of humbled by that experience, or maybe a little bit disappointed in themselves. Somebody who's needing to kind of work through this, to work toward forgiving themselves. to work toward offering apology in the form of changed action. Somebody who's kind of just needing that point in time to really process that and to feel and understand the gravity of that. How whatever this choice or this thing that was said or this conversation that took place, how that has now kind of propelled the two of you into this very different vibration from what you were building and what you were sustaining and what existed between the both of you in this very organic fashion. Okay, and they say, I just want us to get away from the noise. So there could be a lot of distractions in both of your lives, a lot of outside factors or internal factors. This feels like noise in reference to even self-defeating thoughts, ideas of unworthiness about love, some distortions that have really served as kind of barriers or blockages to this person and even your ability to give and receive love very freely with one another, to sustain that vibration. There's this desire that they have for the two of you to really work through these things internally and individually, or even in your outside circumstances, in order to really come to that place within yourself and within your reality to where you're able to kind of build and meet toward that crossroads, that point of choice again, so that a different decision can be made. Sort of rebuilding that bond between the both of you. This is not somebody who just kind of wants to remain in that silence forever, but is needing to take that time right now to really process and figure out and plan and work through some things. Again, a lot of self-forgiveness might be necessary at this point in time. Somebody who's needing to be very compassionate with themselves, or somebody who is, just kind of grappling with these feelings of sort of disappointment. Some things that have really surfaced from the subconscious that are needing to be sort of cleared out and reconciled before they are able to, really kind of come back into this connection to receive the love that is being offered, and to be able to be confident enough to offer that love that they hold inside in return, coming to a place of recognition that love within them, that their heart is worthy, that this is something which is very precious and is very valuable, and is something that it's something to be guarded and protected, and not just, it's not something that is intended for everyone, but for the heart that is meant to love them. In this connection, this is a place where that tender, vulnerable side of themselves is safe. And they also say, hey baby, I was thinking of you. So again, you are on this person's mind, despite any kind of silence or distance that might exist between the both of you right now. They're thinking a lot about what took place, about an interaction, or even a series of just how they had consistently been showing up or holding back from you in this connection in the past. Somebody who is not satisfied with that, feels that there is so much more to be experienced, feels that there's so much more of themselves that they didn't show you, that they didn't reveal, that there was an opportunity to really kind of rewrite the story of what love has unfolded as in other capacities in their life and in their romantic history. And it's on their mind to sort of summon that strength, summon that courage to cultivate and develop or utilize some tools that they have within themselves to kind of break through that barricade of fear, to sort of take that leap, that idea of almost the fool energy of that leap of faith, that leap into the unknown, to expressing themselves, to letting their heart be shown. This could be somebody that has dealt with a lot of heartbreak in the past, a lot of betrayal in their past, wounds that have still not healed from past situations, that they are starting to kind of put the pieces together, that these things are still blocks within them. There's still some cords of energy that are attached to those circumstances, even in the form of the ways in which this has distorted their ability to perceive the worthiness and the glory of the love they have to give. They may have really encountered people who told them that their love was too much, or that they were somehow not enough. They've come to develop this idea of flaw within themselves. of things that they're needing to overcompensate for or needing to hold back on. A sense of maybe feeling that their love is a force which, ultimately diminishes as opposed to which creates. And so kind of needing to step out of that perspective, sort of shift that perspective, recognize, the other face, the true face of their heart and who they are and the love they have to give. Someone who's really starting to recognize how they've been kind of living in the shadow of that distortion and, calling it the light of day or owning that, accepting that as their personal truth. And so a very kind of educational and pivotal circumstance that the two of you find yourselves in now, where again, what's been triggered within the both of you, you then have this opportunity to kind of dig into that and say, why was that triggered? What's the root of that? What's that wound? What's the opposite of that? What if I came to believe that that wound within me is the untruth, and I step into the other kind of face of that and take that in to be the personal truth? What if I try that on? How does that feel? And so it's this process of really kind of going back to the start of sort of where this tendency in terms of love and connection and vulnerability, where that really stemmed from, and making a different choice, choosing a different path in that capacity so that they're then able to sort of rise to meet you, rise to this occasion to really converge once again with one another and make a different choice, to lean further in or open up the door to their heart when that opportunity presents itself. And they also say, your love is soul food. You feed my soul with your grace and love. So they feel very nourished and nurtured by this connection. This connection also brings out this deep desire to nurture and to nourish within them. A lot of reciprocity there, a lot of acceptance and patience that they feel from you, and that they have this urge to offer to you as well. There's a sense of even the difficulty that has been really triggered and brought up, whatever this is, or these series of things or vibrations or beliefs or archetypes within themselves. There's a sense of, as much as they are kind of wanting to move beyond that, that they're feeling very kind of disappointed with themselves at this point in time. They're also understanding that this is almost the mana that has been provided to them to really kind of jumpstart a new layer of transformation within them. It's been that kind of that catalyst or that fuel that has now provided them with the opportunity of change that they can actually make in their life, changes that are necessary, changes within themselves, a process of kind of releasing and shedding what no longer serves, or ways in which they have been embodying untruths projected upon them by others, or the ways in which they were almost kind of mishandled. Their heart was mishandled and became sort of, they perceived it to be misshapen or flawed somehow. Starting to, through this dynamic, the words that the two of you exchange, the energy that is exchanged between the both of you, and really stepping into this new feeling within them, something they may have never felt before, haven't felt in a very long time, of their own kind of like perfection of soul, this state of acceptance that, flaws and virtues kind of make up this complete package of who they are, coming into this place of self-acceptance, and again embodying that energy of self-love through that selflessness with which they feel compelled and experience the energy exchange between the both of you during periods of contact and closeness. Okay, and they say, open your heart. So as much as they may have some wounding that has come up in terms of, kind of backing away from leaning further into this love, this kind of channel that has been opened between the both of you, they really want you to take the time to explore within to really suss out those kind of roots of distortion within you, any ways in which you might feel that your love isn't good enough, that somehow what you have to offer is too much. Maybe even based on how this person is kind of pulled back, you have started to really question your love, question if, leading with love, expressing vulnerability, expressing truth, a sense of maybe being too much, of having pushed this person away, of something about you being flawed or being something that, should not be demonstrated. Any of those kind of feelings that have come up within you, they really want you to kind of sift through that, work through that, heal through that, come into that same place of recognition that any kind of distortions that have been projected upon you or that you have come to kind of bring upon yourself, you've come to kind of cloak yourself with, to sort of cast these things aside and to remember that purity and that innocence, that core of who you are and how beautiful and worthy the love that you have to give is. And starting to open to that perspective that, people that might have rejected you in the past, or ways in which your love might not have been reciprocated, that this is not indicative of any kind of flaw in you. It reflects distortion or just kind of a lack of self-awareness within others, that we're all kind of operating out of these energies of distortion, and that can often be projected upon to others as merely a reflection of some kind of a wound within ourselves that needs to be tended, but that it's easier to kind of point fingers out rather than kind of turn that gaze within. So as much as this person is trying to turn that gaze within, is really being motivated to do that, is thinking about that, is pondering that, is contemplating that, they're encouraging you from your higher self to also do that, to work through any kind of blocks that you might have, any kind of wounds or anything that this has kind of triggered, maybe even some energies of rejection, of being unworthy, kind of feeling, that this is an unrequited love situation, and kind of reframing that into a viewpoint that the two of you are really just, needing that kind of space to sort of dislodge that idea of unworthiness and to realize the actuality of just how perfect that the love you hold within and have to give is. And they also say it's not your fault. So again, recognizing, taking ownership, at least at the higher self level, that the ways in which they might have kind of pushed this away or backed away, kind of disconnected from this this connection or kind of the momentum that the two of you had really built with one another. That choice to not take that next step or to lean further into this or to choose to sustain the dynamic between the both of you, to kind of set things down for a minute or kind of step away even energetically. They're really acknowledging that this is something that has been triggered within them. It's a very necessary trigger. It's something that they're very much aware of, that they're thinking a lot about. And it's also this desire to do some healing within them so that they are able to present to you a better and more authentic version of themselves, to move with love as opposed to be moved by fear. And so somebody who's also kind of in this process of, as they're really uncovering these things within themselves, they're coming to this place of, really wanting to heal this with you, wanting to kind of move beyond what has happened, thinking about kind of how to do that, how to, again, really provide that apology in the form of changed action. And they also say, I'm sending you signs. So from the higher self level, they're very much in connection with you still. The ego might have really fired up and fear may have really caused them to back away or put some walls up. But from the higher self level, there's still a constancy. That connection has not diminished. It cannot be torn asunder. It cannot be broken. And it's something where, maybe you're seeing a lot of angel numbers, you're seeing this person's name, you're seeing, things that remind you of the times that you spent together, or, even kind of this sense of their higher self sending you songs, lyrics that might be very significant, or as you're listening to music, periods of time where you just feel them very close to you. You feel them very intimately with you, almost as if they are, projecting that. They're projecting those kind of words, or that sensation, that vibration, those waves into you at that point in time. Feeling a lot of love emanating from them, which could be quite different from whatever is happening or is not happening in the 3D sense. And so again, their higher self just letting you know that there's still a lot of love for you, that love has never died, that love has never diminished, that love is that kind of that anchor, while the two of you are then needing to kind of work through some things that this circumstance, what has unfolded, what has taken place, where you find yourselves at now, what that has really kind of brought up from the depths of the subconscious. Okay, and they say 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We still move forward in our twin flame dance. So that can be a confirmation for you if you resonate as a twin flame, that this person, even at the higher self level, maybe even at the 3D level, regards you as their twin flame, is starting to recognize that. This idea that kind of this process of triggering in order to kind of move apart and heal and come back together, that this is all part of this process. It's all part of the nature of the stage that you are now at in your journey. And so, despite what might have happened, despite again kind of what had culminated between the both of you and then had been sort of released, or kind of this warmth and this electricity that was kind of replaced with almost like this chasm, or this period of stillness, that this is all, it's all forward momentum. It's all part of that process. It's almost this spiral of healing, where the two of you touch, and then it brings you to this place of, things to need to kind of work through and uncover, layers to peel back within self in order to extract and find some kind of truth, some kind of core, some kind of decision point of taking on distortions, or allowing other people to project their distortions upon you, and taking that as truth, keeping that as, and shaping that into how you identify yourself and who you are and what you have to give. Finding that very crucial moment, that very crucial point, and choosing another way, choosing to discard that, choosing to step into a different reality in order to then resume orbit with each other and connect at a further point in time as a more self-aware and kind of authenticated version, even just energetically, of who you were when you were interacting kind of at that point where that trigger point occurred. And they also say past life. The past returns to heal wounds and trauma to move forward. So yeah, that's that energy of what's going on here, whatever has been sparked within you, within both of you through this interaction, through this dynamic, through wherever you find yourselves at in this connection at this point in time. It is all for the purposes of healing. The two of you being almost each other's greatest teacher and also medicine. And so, through this is this constancy of love. It's almost this triggering out of an act of love. In order to bring attention to maybe some wounds that you were not able to otherwise identify and really approach from the same level of intensity. It's almost like the velocity that the two of you are able to build and achieve and touch on with these periods of interaction where things are going very well, and kind of that trigger point and where that kind of thrusts the both of you. It's with such a force that you are able to dig deeper and have more clarity, be more empowered, have more stamina to uncover truth and to truly make decisions and kind of reformat yourself in a way that, through kind of doing this work independently, or even in other kind of dynamics of sort of coming together and moving apart with other individuals and other circumstances, kind of moving through the world in that way. It's not with the same level of intensity and depth. It doesn't dig down into those kind of core dusty corners within the soul in precisely the same manner. There's also this energy here of a lot of what you are working through with this person. This can also be sort of these lingering blocks that you have carried over from situations of your dynamic in other lives, other interactions with each other, circumstances where things, didn't work out in the end between the both of you, or things were, very beautiful, or there were other things that kind of got in the way, and the way in which your soul has kind of carried those vibrations, those disappointments and elations, has sort of kept that as souvenirs or reminders into this lifetime. As kind of these signposts, these roadmaps of these are the things, these are the topics, these are the themes and archetypes that in this lifetime, the way in which the two of you interact, this is the work that is to be accomplished. And so just very naturally in the course of how you interact with each other, how you kind of move your separate ways for even periods of time, that constancy of the bond on the 5D, and then sort of the internal process of change and kind of growth and healing from that, only to come back together. Through each sort of phase or spiral or kind of layer of this process, in a subtle way, you are healing and kind of helping your souls individually to kind of move into that space of wholeness, to move into that space of healing, which not only kind of helps you in this journey, in this lifetime, but it's healing which then ripples back into the past. It kind of heals those wounds that you've been sort of carrying along, that you've been dragging along with you through time, and it also sends that projection forward, so that future incarnations, you have learned these lessons, you have done this work, you've sort of cleared this clutter, and it opens the door to new experiences at the soul level, new kind of series of lessons and things to work on, new types of experiences. This is almost this energy of maybe work that has been deferred from other lifetimes, or that just kind of needed to be gathered up into this lifetime, which is very crucial, a lifetime of kind of growth, of really liberation from past wounds that maybe because of the times or the circumstances, the climate of the world, what was going on, who you were as individuals, and that the proximity to one another in some way, the way in which you've been able to kind of touch upon each other in a very direct manner in this lifetime. It's the formula, it's the recipe for this deep layer of healing, healing all the way down and through each of you at a core level, that you've been preparing and building lifetimes. You've been kind of gathering these raw materials, these seeds that have been kind of perceived as wounds within you, in order to crack these things open, to find that treasure within, and to allow that to kind of grow into and infuse you at the soul level, to strengthen you with wisdom and with triumph and with transcendence, so that as your soul continues to move forward through time and space, that journey takes on a greater levity than what you have experienced previously. And they also say, just a little more patience, my love, if only I could speed up time. So again, that idea of time and kind of what is happening right now in this connection between the both of you is something you've been preparing lifetimes for. This is very important work that is being done, kind of this process of grief and release, followed by periods of joy and celebration. All of that, it's the mechanism of dynamic change. It's something which, as much as the two of you may really want to kind of move through that healing process, which can be very, difficult and very confusing, wanting to get to that kind of next level, or that ever-evolving destination point. And this person really starting to kind of lean into that space, starting to sort of accept their need to kind of process all of this, what's been triggered, what has come up, find a solution, and take steps to embody that and make that a reality. And really from the higher self, they're letting you know to seize this opportunity, recognize difficulties that you're facing or disappointments as, again, opportunities. These are doorways to change. These are seeds that have been cracked open within the two of you, and now is the time to really understand the nature of that seed, what is within that meat, that substance that is within that kind of seed. What is the nourishment? What is the kind of protein from that? What can you build from this? How can you really take this experience and the confusion and the joy and transmute that into something of value for yourself, maybe even to help others navigate through a healing journey or a process of confusion or uncertainty about a dynamic with somebody, or just in how we kind of move through the world. I mean, even aside from this twin flame dynamic, kind of these periods of disappointment and when things don't really work out, all of that is, kind of the cracking open of certain seeds within ourselves to really, seek to understand and find and fashion a lesson, a strength, fashion that grain of wisdom into almost this coin of value that can never be taken from you, and to allow that to kind of build you, to make that choice to not be crushed and defeated, but to create your own triumph out of circumstances, out of, again, disappointments or things that you kind of wished had gone differently, to make the most of the moment, to take what you are given, to take what you have, to work with what's around you, to work on that greatest project, that greatest endeavor, which is the knowledge of self, and again, sort of the transcendence of limitations, the understanding of limitations imposed upon you by others, and which you have taken on and kind of called your own, that you are no longer in need of. These things are not serving your highest good. It's the time to kind of shed and release in order for that newness, a less diluted version of self, or the way in which you are, understanding and projecting then your authenticity out in the world, in order for that to really unfold and take place. And with that energy of patience, it is a process. Healing comes in layers. As much as this person, is wanting to kind of come back and fix things, there's still that energy of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So it can be something where it's kind of touch and go for a period of time, but each time you're kind of coming back together, exchanging that energy, kind of reaching that potential and that height in order to kind of move away again. It may seem sort of repetitive, but there is elevation that is taking place, or that has the potential to take place, if you choose to make the most of those experiences. Instead of looking at it as a cycle you are looping around in, recognize what are some ways that you can kind of change that trajectory, that you can sort of, when you come back around to that decision point, that pivot point, that point of intersection, what's a way in which you can make a different choice to kind of bring it up to the next level, and then you're kind of going around at this elevated fashion. It's this dynamic and ever unfolding process of ascension that the two of you really instigate within each other, and also support within one another. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 3. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got N, W, X, P, G, O, K, S, Q, J, and I. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.